Hi, folks. I see many Christians uh, still exposing, putting in a lot of effort in exposing things like evolution or even a billion years old Earth. Fundamentalist Christians, that is. Of course, the vast majority of those who call themselves Christians will not even expose that. They have become extremely liberal. They have accepted most of these uh, theories that lead to agnosticism or atheism. However, most of these fundamentalists, whilst exposing evolution and a billion years old Earth, will vehemently oppose an even more important factor, something that could wake up the disbelieving world much more effectively than evolution and an old Earth put together, namely the Earth's shape not being a ball, let alone a spinning ball, and geocentrism as opposed to heliocentrism. Why is it that these Christians will not go there? Or I should say, those who profess to be Christians. Why aren't they willing to go there? Why aren't they willing to expose the globe for the lie that it is? Well, here's a few reasons why I think that may be so. I think one of the reasons is because they see in evolution, it's not directly, there's no direct observations in their mind that can be undertaken to verify what is called commonly by them as macro evolution. And I agree. But the same will say, well, when it comes to the Earth shape, we have camera videos, we have this and that. So in their mind, they are too afraid, because when human beings see optical vision, what a human being sees is much more powerful than what is indirectly inferred. Inference, right? Evolution can common ancestry, that is, can only be deduced by inference, which of course is all garbage because it's not. That's I'm not going to go into that right now. So those Christians will still feel comfortable. But when it comes to the Earth shape not being a globe, they are afraid because they think it is right before their eyes when they open their mobile phone and they whip out Google Earth or a navigator and they zoom away from the Earth, they see the ball there. And they take, of course, pride in that technology. Okay, they say this is something that they use in their day-to-day lives. Mobile phone doesn't show, you don't have too many apps, that you use in your day-to-day lives where a monkey turns into, or a monkey population of monkeys splits, and then becomes apes, and then from those apes, we split again and then become a human ape. No, you don't see that on a mobile phone. You don't see that on your laptop. Maybe that'll come in the future, who knows? But right now, as of now, it's not the case. And this shows me that the majority of those who profess Christians, even the fundamentalists, they fall for worldly technology, in the sense of not that technology itself is bad, but what they see being presented as mainstream on it. Instead of isolating themselves from the world and being producers of technology themselves and spitting on what the world produces. Okay, because Christians could easily get together and make everything 1,000 times better than the atheists could. However, Christians want to be lazy. They want to take the easy road, just sit back and enjoy well, then the devil is going to take the upper hand. Okay, but it's pride more than anything. Because even if you, at any given moment, because of the laziness that has taken place in prior years, now at the moment you cannot immediately, build your own products, you can still use those products in other ways and don't have to suck up to everything that is that you see on there or that you see being promoted. And it's really starting to tick me off, to be honest with you. Okay, So this is to those who call themselves Christians, okay, and they refuse to even look into. See, it's one thing if I can understand somebody, who a fundamentalist Christian or professing fundamentalist Christian who says, "Well, I'm I'm still gonna have to research this. I'm not sure yet. I'm not convinced yet, but I will take a look at all these videos out there on YouTube that present, 200 plus evidences, or maybe even 1,000 now, for the Earth not being a spinning globe. Just that. I mean, forget about the Earth being flat right now for a moment. Let's take this step by step. Let's okay. First, start with denying heliocentrism. How does that sound? Become a geocentricist. You would have taken a huge step. Christians aren't willing to do that even. And then the next step, stop believing that the Earth is spinning on its axis. And then, last but not least, you would eventually get over the Earth being a spinning ball as well. Unfortunately, fundamentalists who take the Bible literally in so many places, they fail to take the scriptures seriously when it comes to the earth shape. There are many passages in the Bible that talk about or that give an idea about the earth shape. The earth having four corners, the firmament, being solid like molten brass, and many such other. There being waters above the firmament, as you can see here in the picture. Almost this is what we find when we put these different verses in the Bible all together. Most Christians, however, will try to allegorize all of them. And there's only, of course, it's obvious if you think about it. The only reason why this is doing again because they visualize on their mobile phone, which they are so proud of. Yeah, it's really all about pride, and pride, my friends, is a great sin, a big sin. So you better, if you have that, you better work on that. Okay. So they will look at these, they visualize these things, and instead of questioning what is on there, even after having heard others, kudos to those who are not Christians and still believe that the earth is flat. And that, in fact, of course, God is arranging, God is showing them external grace, as I believe, as a professing Orthodox Christian myself, that God even shows external grace to those who are not, who do not yet believe any of the essentials that is necessary for a Christian to believe. But yet, they have some truth. And in this case, a very big truth. I believe that flat earth has the potential a million times more to shut down agnosticism, atheism, or any denial of the spiritual, of something beyond matter, more than evolution ever could. And the reason for this is because, as I mentioned before, they have been visually presented over so many years, and then people find out that they have been lied to, then they are never going to believe anything that mainstream science, that is a controlled and closed club, tells them. They will only ever do the experiments by themselves, or they will get their own people whom they trust, personally know. They will first look into a person's honesty, trustworthiness, and then his expertise to trust anything that comes out of his mouth or her mouth. They will never look up to an organization again just because they handed them over some pieces of technology. Because, look, Bill Gates, for example, one thinks that, Bill Gates, people use Microsoft, right? And atheists are proud of saying, well, look, Bill Gates is an atheist and he produced Microsoft and all this. And look, you all people are using this. They forget, of course, how Bill Gates managed to get up there. If you read this story, he didn't just invent everything by himself. He had a lot of people doing the work for him. He was just a good businessman. Okay, and there's also suspicion that he actually defrauded another one of his comrades to get up there. You see, it's really very disgusting if you look at it that way. It's not, see, people don't come up there because, see, people have this idea that only hardworking people, honest, hardworking people become millionaires or multi-billionaires. Many people have this idea, well, if you, no, that's not always the case. In fact, I would argue that's hardly the case. No, I'm granting there's exceptions, but mostly not. Fraud, deception, deceit, and sometimes even going over bodies, killing people to get up there. Okay, this is how it is. And then these same people tell you, so I don't even, I would just use the technology and say, I don't know whether you actually produced it, who actually did the work, and you just use them and abuse them. How about that? Don't let yourself be deceived. Okay, just because somebody hands you, no, you pay for it with your hard-earned money, it's yours, period. Don't let anybody boss you around or tell you, oh, you should be thankful, you should be this and that. But no, there's Christians who have worked at it. There's others who believe in flat earth who have worked at building technology. Okay? In fact, I would argue that most of them laid the groundwork for it. The others just swallowed it and worked with it. So, these are all things that you need to get over with. Okay? Flat earth is very, very important in today's age. In fact, I would argue, yes, keep arguing. If you're an expert at exposing evolution, I'm not saying don't argue against it, and not do it, but spend more time looking into this topic. Spend more time researching, more research, and then hopefully you will agree and come to the same conclusion about the earth not being a spinning ball at all. Slowly and gradually, you'll come close to the model which is presented here in the picture by studying the scriptures. This will lead to further investigations of the dome and other fine details that have not yet been solidified by external evidence, meaning apart from the scriptures, what the scriptures teach. But that does not matter, because one thing is clear, that the earth is not a spinning ball. And that suffices for now, completely suffices to expose the lies that have been perpetrated by NASA or any other organization that is mainstream science. Once that falls apart, it all falls apart like a house of cards, and hardcore materialism goes down the window. It's a point of no return, because I still see many people spending a lot of time, talking about evolution, but that won't do much. Because then, if you disprove evolution, they'll just come up with the alien hypotheses, and they will still argue for eventual natural, eventually these aliens arose naturally somewhere, down the line in deep space. You have to get rid of this whole idea of deep space. Deep space, let me tell you why. Because space, according to these scientists, is very huge. And if something occurs, they can always make this argument, well, if things cannot develop by random chance and natural selection here, in vast space, it's like a vast laboratory full of experimentation where molecules are bumping into each other, and everywhere they are bumping into each other a bit differently and spread over an area or a volume of, I mean, it's unimaginable space, right? Even this earth has a huge volume, but in space, and then you have all these galaxies and all these different kind of planets and dark energy and what have you, all kinds of things. They say just use, I mean, if you really think about it, it's logically to conclude that all kinds of things will eventually arise, and intelligence will arise at one place or another. If you have such a huge area, right, and you have so much things going on, and it doesn't harm any intelligence either, because there are many galaxies are so far apart, nature can experiment and eventually bring about something. You see? This is how the devil, that's why I say vacuum, space, outer space is the devil's biggest trick. And the massive deception over here is that unfortunately, Christians have fallen for it to a point that they want to, try to turn it around and say, well, look at God has created. When somebody asks a Christian, they say, well, why did God create such a vast space? I mean, isn't that a waste? Atheists would say, well, that's a waste, right? All these planets, no intelligent life really gets a hold of those. So what's the use of creating all these big things? And then the only answers that Christians really have are the oh wow factor. Oh wow, look at how huge. But there's no real complexity to it. Look at these big. If we assume that these stars are that big, okay, they are that big, right? Throwing out so much gas that imagine only if we had 1 billionth of a billionth of a star's gas, we could power a city on this earth, for I don't know how many years. But no, it's up there in space where it's not usable by any intelligence, let alone, those who are created in the image of God. And we will never be able to make use of that energy. Think about this. There are stars out there, even the sun, right? We can use a very, very minute amount of its energy now with our solar plants. But all those other stars, they're completely useless. Most of the energy gets wasted into outer space and can never reaches us, never reaches any intelligent life. So isn't that a waste? Isn't that a powerful argument for the atheist? I would say it certainly is. It makes our planet just, one of many possible planets which might be even have more intelligent life out there in space. So our planet becomes completely insignificant, right? It becomes very difficult, if you think about it, to convince an atheist or a disbeliever that we are made in the image of God if we are on this very relatively small planet in a vast amount of, space, empty space. So you need to think about this very seriously, my friends. Spend your time more debunking this nonsense. Okay? This whole idea of outer space, because that will shut everything down. Then there will be no more excuse for aliens. These creatures that people or that pay people a visit or that abduct people, quote unquote, abduct them, they will be seen for what they really are, the fallen angels. Okay? And it's just one benefit after the other for a believer or for a Christian to believe in a flat earth and to deny outer space altogether. Okay? That's why I say geocentrism alone is not enough. You need to deny outer space. You need to deny the sun being bigger than the earth. You need to deny any of the stars being bigger than the earth. Stars should be, okay, if we really are in the image of God and we are of central importance, it follows nearly logically that the stars would be significantly smaller than the earth that we live on. So would the planets and the sun. Okay? And that they would be the ones rotating above the earth or around the earth. Now, that can be debated, but in this case, we see it's the model that people have experienced or from independent observations. The stars and sun seem to be rotating above the earth. Okay? And due to the law of perspective, as has been discussed many, many times, the sun appears to go down at the end and then rise up again. Okay, it's all due to there's videos out there, the sun becomes smaller as it goes away, gets bigger as it comes again or rises again. And all these other kinds of, you can see there's tons of videos out there that explain sunrise and sunset on a flat earth. Okay, there's a flat model where the sun revolves. There's a flat showing the seasons, flat model showing the seasons out there, how the sun starts to circle towards the inwardly and then moves outwardly, and that's why we have these different seasons. Can all be explained on a flat earth. If you're new to it, I think is a prominent flat earther, has some great videos. Look up for evidences for flat earth. get an idea. There's tons of good evidence. It doesn't mean that every evidence is strong. Yeah, there might be some, which I find some are weaker than others, but there's over 100 powerful ones. All right, and 10 should suffice, to be honest with you. 10 evidences that are good should suffice, but there's over 100 that absolutely show that the globe Earth is a lie. Okay. Also, check out my good friend's Rand Campbell's channel, Flat Out Elected, and Arcane, and Pillbox, Rose Patton. They're very much involved in the Flat Earth community, and hopefully will continue to do so in the future. So I think I've covered the important points. Let me just see if there's something that still needs to be addressed. No, that's pretty much it. And in the end, I'll just say once again, swallow your pride. Do not fight with other Christians, especially do not fight with other Christians who believe in the flat earth. If you want to agree to disagree after having seen the evidence, okay, that's sad, but we are not going to, a flat earther is not going to put you down because of it, okay? But what I see happening is then the other Christian, they go so far to make a mockery, and that is absolutely, I mean, with such a person, I would say stay away from them. If any of my flatters out there, just stay away from such a person. Don't even talk to them anymore, because that is what I hate. Such a reaction is not Christian at all. Okay, so I just leave it at that. Thank you for listening. God bless.